Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my Cloud9 Valorant roster rebuild. Today we're going to go through the whole roster in this video, go through the contracts that they have for next year, what I think they should do with the entire team, the players that I think they should cut, the players I think they should keep, and the players that I think they should get to replace those players that they end up cutting. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Really helps me out, and let's get right into it. So before we get into it, I do want to mention two things. First, we'll do their 2025 recap, but before we do that, I did want to mention that this video is strictly what I would do with this roster, not necessarily what I think will happen. So if a player in real life has already signed with a different team in this video, or is going to stay with a different team in this video, then that doesn't really matter. It's strictly what I would do with all these rosters and kind of trying to mix them all together. So like if a player already went to one team in my rebuild series, that I've made previous videos to, you can go check those out as well. If they've already gone to a different team, then they can't go to this one. So like say Sentinels signed Redux. Redux can't go to Cloud9 now. Obviously that wouldn't really make too much sense with Oxy here, but you get the point. Like that isn't really a move that's possible in this world, but is maybe one that could happen in real life. We'll see. I don't know. Overall, like it's kind of like a bunch of interconnected videos. So if one player goes one place in my series, then they can't be signed anywhere else. But just because they went somewhere in real life doesn't mean that they will go there in this series, if that makes sense. So now on to the 2025 recap, where this team added Net, Mitch, and Vic in the offseason out of a lot of controversy with Rossi and Moose and all those kind of players like being like in and out during the offseason rather than just right at the beginning. A lot of weird things were going on with this team in the offseason, a lot of controversy and stuff like that, as I mentioned, but they landed on a 5. They got 9th, 10th at America's Kickoff, did not do very well. Probably in part to do with all of that offseason controversy of not having as much time to scrim with their full 5. But going to stage 1, they went 3-2, looked fairly solid, but then as C9 does in the playoffs, they went 0-2, did not do very well. But then in stage 2, they had a very similar regular season, going 3-2, losing to the top teams that they played against, not looking overly great, but still looking solid. Then they seemed to have broken the curse, but still ended up getting 4th in playoffs, one game away from making it to champs instead of the eventual winners of champs, which was NRG. So that's kind of interesting. Like they at least started to get somewhere in playoffs rather than kind of choking, going out into maybe winning a game against a not great team. This team has very much struggled with playoffs in their history, especially in the era of franchising from 2023. And overall, it's not a great year for Cloud9, having missed all the internationals, but they definitely found some core players to build around as well. So our goal for 2026 is strictly to get this team to an international. Now, normally this is reserved for teams that didn't do quite as well. C9 actually did pretty well regionally, in my opinion, but just weren't able to get over that hump. But for C9 specifically, I think their goal should just be to get to an international, and you can figure it out from there. Like, you don't have to get these super high upside players. You can kind of get guys that are solid and you think can probably get you there over the course of this next season. So moving on to what we have to work with, C9 usually likes having their contracts, like not letting them expire. They like re-upping them when they want to keep players and then cutting them before those contracts end. So they have all 5 players under contract for 2026 and 2027, as well as Oxy, who's under contract through 2028. That guy's locked up in contract jail. So overall, we can chop and change whoever we want. We don't have to worry about re-signing somebody, having them potentially go to a different team, have a better fit somewhere else or something like that. We can just keep and cut the guys that we would like to keep. So what we'll be doing is we'll be keeping Mitch, Oxy, and Vic. I think that's pretty standard. I think most people would agree with that. Probably the 3 most valuable players from last year, obviously Oxy and Vic being extremely good individuals. And I think Mitch was a solid IGL with good fragging as well on top of it, and can play a bit of like scan, flashes, and a bit of Sentinel as well in there, like with Viper as well. So he's a very valuable piece, can kind of move around wherever you need him. And then our other two players here, Zeppa and Net, will be cut. I think Zeppa, to me, is a pretty clear cut candidate. Just he got more flexible this year, but he's still just not like flexible enough. He's not good at or good enough at the stuff that he's flexing to still, or like just in general. Like he can play a little bit of duelist, but it's really just Raze. He can play. Wait, no, didn't he play Yoru as well? That was actually okay, but I think that was more at the beginning of the year, and it was a little weird there. Because Yoru play at the beginning of the year was not the same as it was at the end of the year. I remember it being okay then, but it might not. I might not consider it okay now. Um, he plays scan, but like neither of his scan initiators are very good in the Fade and the Sova. I don't think his style of Sky play really works with Sky right now. He can play Teo to a decent degree. I thought that was fine. His what's the other agent? I swear his KO is pretty good overall. I really like his KO. I think his breach, while he hasn't played it too much, would probably be okay. I don't remember how much he's really played it, but that's been fine. And then he can play Vise, and he's played a little bit of Killjoy, which I thought both he had flashes on, but overall wasn't that great. So I think Zeppa, especially with his performances in the big games, and we're trying to get this team over the hump, I think realistically having a guy that doesn't perform in big games like Zeppa does, it's really hard to get to those international events with a guy like that. So we're going to let him go here. And then Net, this one's a tough one because I actually think Net is criminally underrated. He is like not a very good fragger, but you can very much tell how much he means to like the vibes and the comms on this team. So we're going to have to get a guy that can do something similar to that, to replace him, while also getting a guy that can still like maybe kill some people sometimes on especially the Sentinel role, where that's becoming more and more and more valuable the further we go into the meta. So we'll start with our Sentinel player, which will be Bao. I think he has extremely high potential, and I think he would fill the exact role that Net is going to be leaving for us. He plays a lot of Viper, which Net played quite a bit of, and you can move like other guys like our flex player that we're going to pick up over to Sentinel, while Bao plays the Viper, and you can play double controller comps, which C9 very much likes to run on quite a few maps already, and I think that'll be even better in the new meta. And he's just very good on the Sentinel roles as well. So if you don't want to play those comps and maybe you want to play some other stuff, he can play that. I also believe he played a little bit of Yoru in tier 2. I personally did not watch him play that, but that also opens up C9 to potential double duelist comps at some point. But overall, I haven't heard too much hype about him. Despite him seeming to be a really good individual player, there might be stuff behind the scenes that maybe pro players like don't want him or whatever on their team, which could make sense, but I don't know about any of that. So I'm going to pick up Bao here because to me, he just seems extremely good. And then the other thing that potentially could be good with Bao is he can kind of swap roles with Vic. Vic has played some Sentinel in the past. If you want Vic playing that role, maybe a player that you trust to frag out a little bit more, and then you want to put Bao on more of a supportive role like Smokes, I think that could be a very good option as well. So overall, very, very high on Bao. Curious to see what some people think of him in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think about him in the comments. And yeah, just like who else you think maybe could have been picked up here. I'm not huge on Satellite personally. I watched him very recently, and it kind of just felt like he was a little nervous in tier 2 games. So like bringing him up to a tier 1 stage just didn't really seem that great. But I think after another year, maybe developing in tier 2, Satellite could be an extremely good Sentinel prospect. I just don't think he's fully ready right now, and I think Bao is the more ready player between the two of them. Then our last player here, Zelsis, who I don't know if this is actually a hot take, because I think most people think he should be replaced on Sen, and I very much think that. I think they need to move on. But for a team like C9, I think Zelsis actually fits perfectly into this team's flex role. He can play a lot of Sentinel, Viper, and Flash Initiators, and when you want to move Bao potentially over to Viper. You move Zelsis over to Sentinel. Maybe Zelsis could play the Viper as well, and Bao could play a little bit of Sentinel instead in the double controller comp, so you don't have to force Bao to play the Viper if you don't want to. But extremely flexible player there. He can play the Flash Initiators and Sentinel and Viper all for you. Doesn't really give you like the double duelist option from the flex role. Doesn't really give you the like dome smoke option, but I think you'd want Vic on that dome smoke most of the time anyways. So that works perfectly here. He's former teammates with Mini. That works really well. I don't know if he was former teammates with Mitch. I'd have to double check that. I don't think he was on C9, but that's still a possibility. Like that could have happened. I just don't think it did. And I think he's just an incredible player for vibes. And I think to replace Net, he is an upgrade in that front, in my opinion, where you could see Net doing some of that kind of stuff, but it was a lot of just like shit talking on the stage and that kind of stuff when C9 was winning. I think Zelsis will be able to give that leadership aspect rather than the just vibes aspect and kind of lift the team up when they're in tough or big moments, which is exactly what this team will end up needing to get over the hump because they definitely have enough talent with these other 4 players. So our final team here will be Oxy, Zelsis, Mitch, Vic, and Bao. I didn't really talk too much about Oxy and Vic because I think a lot of people think they're already really good. Oxy I have is that like, I mean, this feels insane to say, but like, since there's so many good duelists in Americas, he feels like kind of like that middle of the pack duelist. Like you're not exact like, but you know how good he is. Like he's middle of the pack. He's not like bad. He's not. I mean, he is good. He's a really good duelist player for your team, and he has an extremely high ceiling game to game, and can give you these extremely insane pop off moments and highlights that will win your team round solo. I do think he's a little round to round inconsistent though, and can give you some bad games, bad maps overall, and you don't really like that in playoff scenarios where it's kind of do or die. But overall, I think Oxy's an extremely talented young player, and then same thing with Vic. In terms of the extremely talented young player, I think Vic's a little bit more consistent, but still does struggle with some of those inconsistency issues, and does seem to be a little bit quieter when it comes to playoff time, but is overall a very good option for this team on smokes. And I would be absolutely shocked if either Oxy or Vic get let go during this offseason, especially with what they mean to the organization in terms of their stream personalities and stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think of this roster in the comments below. You can also go check out my Twitter, Twitch, Discord. What's the other thing? There's one other thing. Twitter, Twitch, Discord, TikTok, and my second channel as well. I did just announce that I'm doing a tournament on my Discord server. I've kind of settled on a date around like the 15th to 16th that weekend. It'll just be like a normal 5v5 tournament. So if you have like a premier team or something that you would like to join the tournament with, go join my Discord and let me know there, and I'll be trying to get everybody in. So go do that, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.